Welcome to Nurses with Voices, the podcast where we amplify the voices of nurses everywhere. I'm your host, Dr. Lendra James, DNP RN, and I am thrilled to go on this podcast journey with you. Through this podcast, we aim to educate, empower, and inspire nurses at every stage of their careers. Whether you're a novice nurse navigating the challenges of bedside care, an experienced clinician looking to advance in your field, or dreaming of becoming a nurse entrepreneur, Nurses with Voices is here for you. Together, we'll explore the triumphs, struggles, and countless opportunities that come with being a nurse. So tune in, subscribe, and let your voice be heard, because here at Nurses with Voices, every nurse has a story worth sharing, and every nurse voice deserves to be amplified. Welcome back to another episode of Nurses with Voices. I'm your host, Dr. Lendra James, DNP RN. And today we have a truly remarkable guest with us today. We have Christal Parker. Christal is not only a dedicated nurse practitioner, but she is also the CEO and founder of TruSavvy Beauty and Wellness, which she will explain. She's based in California, and her wellness business has a specialized focus on hormone replacement therapy, weight loss, IV hydration. She is also a coach and mentor, which I am excited to talk to her a little bit about more as well. Christal has built a thriving wellness business that helps her clients achieve optimal health and well-being. And like I said, she's also a nurse coach. And today we're going to really dive into her journey, right? And her expertise and just the innovative treatments that she offers at TruSavvy Beauty and Wellness. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, my pleasure.
Yeah. So Christal, tell the listeners, tell us a little bit about, your background in nursing and what inspired you to become a nurse practitioner and ultimately motivate you to become and launch a wellness business, a beauty and wellness business.
Yes. So it's a lot. First of all, I just want to say thank you again for having me on. So my name is Christal Parker. I'm a nurse practitioner. I got into, as far as nursing background, I was an ER nurse for about 11 years. I've been a nurse total, even 12 years on, like 12 or 13. So about 10, 11 of that were spent in the ER. And then like many of us, I had already been burnt out before COVID. I had been burnt out in the ER, but, I was able to take some time off. So I always say, as nurses, busy women, moms, and things like that, we don't often have time to sit and think. So during my wedding time, when I was, working a lot of shifts to plan my wedding, I was just burnt out. It was a bad flu season, right? We hadn't even heard of COVID yet, but just the flu season took me out by itself. So, I'm trucking along, and then got time to sit and think about what I wanted, was getting ready to start planning my family. And I was just, ended up having babies. I always say I really escaped the COVID era in the ER because I just kept having babies back to back. I had 2 back to back during the pandemic. So I would go on maternity leave, take extended time off. And I kind of got through the 2 years of COVID, not really working much in the ER, but it definitely showed me I was done with the ER. So I told my husband, listen, I am totally done. I am so scared to go back during COVID because I hadn't really worked it much. So I was just so scared. So anyways, long story short, I then applied and got a position in the cath lab. Love the cath lab. I did that for a couple of years. Right when I had my first daughter, which was about almost 5 years ago, is when I graduated from nurse practitioner school, and really only used my nurse practitioner license in my business because I started my IV hydration business in 2019. So I had only known that capacity of being a nurse practitioner, using it in my own business. I did IV hydration. I did some veteran evaluation exams, and then a position ended up popping up per diem in the weight loss clinic as a nurse practitioner. And at my job, you have to have a year or 2 experience as a nurse practitioner. Even though I had worked there for 10 years, they didn't care, or 8 years at the time, 9 years. I still had to have experience. So anyways, ended up applying. And then, so now I do that at the hospital. Per diem, I do weight loss at the hospital. And then here in my clinic here, I do a lot. So I do, as you said, hormones, therapy, IV hydration, weight loss, sexual health. I do a little bit of aesthetics. I started out wanting to do aesthetics in my or in my med spa, but just seeing the lives I was able to change in a different way, a more powerful way, a more even spiritual way was through hormone therapy replacement, and the weight loss and the sexual health. I also have a podcast with my business partner called The Nurse Boss Shift, and we just inspire nurses to either invest their money or get into entrepreneurship. So I have that, I have the podcast, and I also, with TruSavvy Wellness Solutions, we do coaching. So we coach nurses on how to start their own IV hydration business, and we do brunches and different mentorship through that. So I know that was a whole mouthful. And I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. This is so powerful. And this is what nurses need to hear because I'm all about nurses thinking beyond the bedside, right? Beyond the traditional setting of nursing. And it sounds like that's what you did, right? Like you thought beyond. And to your point, it's so easy, or not easy, but it's interesting that you're like, oh, I wanted to do aesthetics and I thought about aesthetics. And then I checked the focus shift to do something that was more powerful. And I think that's where, like you said, when you incorporate weight loss into your practice, when you incorporate hormone replacement therapy, because I had the same challenges. It's the same because it's to your point, and I guess, listen, I'm just going to be honest, like to be a woman of a certain age, right? And it started to hit home. So it was more relatable for me, right? It started, the weight loss and the hormone replacement, became more relatable to me. And I was like, that's where I believe the focus really should be. Yeah. And that's how we really can help the community. But don't get me wrong. These other things, Botox and fillers and everything else, listen, more power. People are definitely into that as well. But to your point, I love the idea of really promoting that self-care through hormone replacement therapy, through weight loss management. Look at all the diseases out there, with obesity, high blood pressure, the things that you can combat by losing weight, right?
Yeah.
And, and when you think about starting businesses, and like, again, that's why I said I could relate. There are also challenges, right, that comes along with establishing your own business. So share with the audience some of your challenges that you may have had with establishing your business.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. And first, let me say, when I found out about this whole term of nurse entrepreneurship, it was like mind blowing to me. And I think that's why I am so passionate about spreading the word of nurse entrepreneurship, because my tagline is always that entrepreneurship cured my burnout. Because just seeing that one other nurse did it showed me that I could do it too. So I that's what I want to be for other nurses, So actually, let me rewind it even further back. When I had that break to do a month of honeymooning and relaxing, I actually started a products business for nurses. It was a lotion that I created through with the chemist. Long story short. But I found through that business coaching. So didn't know how to start a business, like many of your listeners, I'm sure, are nurses. Didn't know the first thing about starting a business, but I learned that there's these things called business coaches. So I got up under a business coach, and it was great. And I always say, and this is what we say in our program, I want my coaching program, and her coaching program was so good that I never thought again about spending money on a coach or spending money investing in myself and my learning. So her coaching program was so good, but you know what? Hindered me in that business. That first business I ever started was that I was going to sell these products. My lotion is amazing. I literally worked with the chemist. These are the needs of nurses. We need a moisturizing lotion that isn't greasy for us to put our gloves on, that doesn't stick. I mean, I spent a lot of time on the details, the color, the branding, which a lot of new nurses or new entrepreneurs, period, do. And my idea was to go to nursing conferences and talk to people, because I'm better in person in speaking. And then COVID hit. So that meant I had to go online. And the thought of doing lives and selling, oh my goodness, selling as a nurse, like it freaked me out. And I eventually just set on that. So that is one of the lessons that when I decided I was going to start this IV hydration business, I said, you have the imposter syndrome, the being scared talk and to sell my products, I wasn't going to do that in this business. So that is one of the things that I see too in my coaching program that scares a lot of nurses is they say, well, I don't know how to sell and I don't do social media, like it. And unfortunately, you have to. You have to do it. You have to talk and be willing to. And I always tell people, I told this to myself, the sooner you get over yourself is the sooner your business will expand or the sooner your business, you can start it. Because that's us. It's us thinking that our friends and family are looking and, I don't want them to think I'm salesy and this like salesperson because I'm a nurse, and that hinders and that keeps a lot of people stuck. Not stepping out of your comfort zone. So that is one of the biggest mistakes that I made in the beginning is not stepping out of my comfort zone and just not getting over myself and this fear that people are looking at me and what are they going to say and all those things. Like nobody even cares. I didn't know. But back then it was so scary and so frightening. So that's one of the biggest lessons I learned to just that when starting your own business, you have to talk about it and you have to tell people about it. We're so used to patients coming to us. Like we don't have to stand on the street corner and tell them we're at the hospital. We have open beds. Are you coming in? But in your business, you have to. So yeah. That was probably one of the biggest lessons. The other I will say is that I'm working through now is the financial part of owning your own business, especially when you're no longer willing to pick up that extra shift because you can spend that time in your business. But that time in your business does not equal a paycheck next week. So learning to budget and manage money because working extra shift to get it was no longer an option. Those are some of the biggest lessons that I have learned in business.
Absolutely. I can completely appreciate, because to your point, no one teaches us as nurses about entrepreneurship. Right. And I've heard, and I mentioned this in a previous podcast, I've heard recently that they're starting to place entrepreneurship in, I don't know which school it is, but in some of the courses, but I can't wait to see what that's going to look like. I can't really say which school it is, but no one really, but where I come from, I've been a nurse for, over 2 decades. And I don't remember entrepreneurship ever being in, it being a course or I can remember teaching my students and mentioning something about consulting. And they looked at me like I had 3 heads, like, what are you talking about? Because what we're taught in nursing school is bed pains, hospitals, medications. I mean, all the things that will, be relatable to the traditional setting of nursing, right? But nothing about stepping outside of that realm. And even once you become a nurse, even I can remember going into leadership, no one ever taught me about budgeting, that was all self-taught, right? Mm-hmm. So, but these are practices, to your point, that you can bring over to your business and that you have to, because you have to be able to budget. You have to be able to look at the overhead costs. So it definitely can be challenging. And if we don't get over that, or if we get paralyzed by that imposter syndrome, but again, we don't think about that. As nurses, we're taught to be caregivers. We go into the hospital, we care for our 1, 3, 5, 6 patients, whatever it is. And then we go home, we swipe out and we go home. And that's what we get used to. So that's how we're, I don't want to say manipulated, but that's how we're trained. And that's what we develop.
We're bred to go directly from school to the hospital. It wasn't by design for us to start our own businesses and leverage and use our licenses for something that can bring us a greater return. We were trained to the hospital. So that's all that we know. So it's so scary when, people come talking about starting a business or things like that. Where do I start? Where do I go? And also, while coaching is great, there's so much at you because this is such a new field. You don't even know what to pick at, right? So it's like marketing, the budgeting, the getting your supplies and you're trying to learn all these things and pick what's right for you at the time. So it can become very overwhelming, but just like getting that nursing degree and going back to school for that, this is something that can bring, having your own business or even investing. Cause we talk a lot about entrepreneurship and it's like, not everyone should have their own business, right? No, not everyone is made, or it's very, very stressful to have your own business as well. A lot of things going on. But our whole goal, or my whole goal, is to help nurses to, even if it's not starting your own business, to invest in something or invest your money somewhere so that you don't be stressed out working all these overtime shifts. We need bedside nurses. Like those who love the bedside, we need you guys there.
Yes.
But don't want you to be stressed out or burnt out, because we need you guys there. So, a world where nurses can work, 2 days a week, and then they have their investments on the side. That's where we want to get that healthy medium so that nurses aren't as burnt out and they can manage working at the bedside and caring for patients in the way that patients should be cared for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, and you said that perfectly. We definitely need bedside nurses, and everyone's not meant to be a business owner. You're absolutely right. But there is something called investing in yourself. And, people probably get tired of me saying this, but that's probably one of the best things that I ever did was invest in myself. And it's like, once you do it and you obtain that mentorship or that coaching, you're like, why isn't everyone doing this? Like, why isn't everyone doing it? But again, it's not for everyone, but you do want to encourage those who, again, want to escape that burnout. I always say I want to nurture nurses from burnout to breakthroughs, right? What is your breakthrough going to be? And it doesn't have to be starting your own business. You're absolutely right. It can be, having mentorship for, your novice nurse leader role. It can be having mentorship for, passing your nurse executive board certification. So it doesn't have to be, or it could be developing coaching or developing something for, maybe you're expert in cardiology or diabetes care, or, so there are definitely possibilities for us to leverage our expertise. And that's what I love about nursing. That's one of the main things I love about just nursing and what we do. And, going back to your business, and I know that you specialize in hormone replacement therapy, right? And weight loss and sexual health and IV hydration. Just explain a little bit about how these treatments work and what are their benefits for your clients?
Absolutely.
Because I can go on and on about like starting the businesses and all. But I want to bring it back to the hormone replacement therapy and weight loss. I share with you like why it's important to me. Like I said, how relatable it is for me. But what do how do these treatments work? What are the benefits?
Yeah. So backstory on that. I went to a conference for aesthetics, and it was one of my first conferences for aesthetics. And there was a doctor there speaking. And honestly, the only reason I went to her talk is because she was the only Black speaker. So I was like, okay, let me see what she's talking about. I think it was like, I don't even remember what it was titled, but I'm like, menopause, this really doesn't have anything to do with me. I was probably like 38 at the time. I had 2 babies back to back. They're 19 months apart. So I was like, okay, I'll go see what she's saying. And she started listing off, talking about perimenopause, how early it can start, how it can start even earlier for Black women, and it can start even earlier for women who had children later in life. So she starts reading off, are you lack of motivation, low energy, just don't want to, get up and all these things. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is me, night sweats. That was the other thing I was having. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is me. So she talked about at the time getting hormone replacement and pellets. And I was like, okay, I started looking more into it and actually decided I was going to sign up for the training, how it was changing people's lives. So sign up for the training, and as a part of the training, and you get to get pelleted. And I got pelleted, which is hormone replacement therapy, where we insert a small pellet about maybe the size of a grain of rice, double the size. And we implant it in the fat in the back, and your body gets a constant flow of hormones, mostly testosterone, depending on if you're in menopause, perimenopause, have a uterus, don't have a uterus, then we'll give you some estrogen. And that the pellet just kind of, I always say, set it and forget it. So it's in there. Your body is absorbing the testosterone or hormone as you need it. Once I got pelleted, as many women say, it was like someone switched on the light bulb. I was motivated again. Ideas started flowing again. I had energy, just this like confidence, motivation. I didn't really have a libido issue, but yes, the libido went up. I remember being in the gym. I told my trainer, I said, is this what high school boys feel like? Like, I just like crush these weights. And and go home to my husband, if you know what I mean. And I'm just feeling amazing. So started doing it in my practice and started seeing women's lives change. So for those who don't listen, and it's also funny because I do on YouTube, I have a channel and I do a lot of nurse coaching and mentorship around entrepreneurship. And then I also do some videos around hormone therapy. And I always get nurses who are watching my entrepreneur videos and then they get into the hormones and they're like saying, wait a minute, this is all me. So I have a lot of nurses that come to me and lives that are being changed. I mean, from night sweats, hot flashes, low sex drive, low motivation, moodiness, low energy, weight gain, can't lose weight. There's over 30 symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. Phantom smells, ear itching, ringing in the ears, there's dry skin. There's just so many things that are associated with perimenopause and menopause. And I think why it makes it so amazing too is that, like you were saying earlier, aesthetic treatments are great. Like I need some Botox right now, but I will always continue to get my Botox. But there's not a lot of people who are teaching and know hormones. And that's what I find is the most exciting part, is because this is really an untapped field. So if you are looking for something to get into, to use your license, your NP license, I would definitely suggest hormone replacement, just learning about it and learning how much hormones do and how much they control so much of the body. And our hormones are take a sharp decline for females, mid-30s, they take a sharp decline. And we start feeling the effects, and we're seeing that women are feeling it earlier, these perimenopause symptoms on through menopause, and just seeing the lives that have changed. I mean, I have one patient who's a judge. She came to me and she first came to me for Botox, and then I started getting to hormones and I was talking to her about it. And so when I first pelleted her, I joked with her, she's in her 60s. And I said, okay, you might be chasing after some men after this, after you get these hormones. She said, oh no. I just, I don't even want to go out anymore. I'm good on men. I gave up on them years ago. And I said, okay. A year later, she came in for her pellets maybe a couple weeks ago. She has a young boyfriend now. Boyfriend in his early 50s. She is going to the gym. She is traveling. And she told me, I can't believe how much of my life I wasted being in the house, essentially being depressed, and didn't think I could do anything about it. And she said, my life has changed. I want to go out. I'm traveling more. I'm going to the gym. I have a boyfriend now. Like, I'm living life. And she said, I can't believe how long I sat in the house and didn't know that it was just my hormones. And that is so touching to me.
And it gives me goosebumps. I'm so sorry. I love that. That gives me goosebumps. I'm sorry. Go ahead. It just gave me chills. I love it.
I posted her. I told her the other week, I said, I pretty much changed my whole practice because you were one of my first. And, because I was perimenopause, but seeing women who have went through the change already, and she's having like the severe hot flashes and things like that. And to see her just completely transform is just a testament to how this is working. And also now working at the hospital and hearing the gaslighting that these practitioners do to patients and telling them, oh, no, you don't have those symptoms. You're too young for that. Or menopause is just a quick period in life. You'll transition. Just deal with it for another year, basically, and then it'll all be gone. And those are so untrue. My favorite one, your lab work says you're fine. Now, while everyone is not versed in this field, and I understand that. But my problem is when they tell patients like, oh, no, you're too young, or you're gaining weight and you're still doing the same thing. Well, you just need to exercise a little bit more, or don't eat that cookie, and it has nothing. So then the women come and they're feeling down. They don't know what else to do because they're working out, they're eating right, and nothing is changing. And they think it's, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, no, it's your hormones. I have one lady worked out, diet, exercise, nothing. She got her hormones replaced, and within 2 months, she got a trainer, lost 18 pounds. Well, it's like, you cannot tell me this does not work. Also, just for the listeners, there's other means of hormone replacement than the pellets. I just want to say, there's also creams, patches, and pills. So there's lots of modalities of how we can replace hormones, and also depending on what your symptoms are, but. Hormone replacement, and then pair with the weight loss. We all know what, weight loss does for a person, but pairing that with the hormones is just completely life changing. I feel like I'm giving women their lives back. And I feel like there's this underground group of practitioners who are really trying to spread the word about hormones and that they're not dangerous and that you can take them lifelong, not I'll give you some vaginal estrogen for 2 months and then, you got to get off of it because you can only be on it for a year.
There you go. Okay.
So to sum it up, it's absolutely changing people's lives and paired with the weight loss. I am just trying to really build this group of women who know about hormones and know about the symptoms and know that there is treatment for it and that there's something they can do about it so that they could continue to live productive lives, because a lot of the women who are interested in this, well, everyone who has symptoms is interested, but especially my busy moms, my busy executives, people with, busy, just all the things in there. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I know something is off. I just don't know. Doctors are telling me all my labs are normal, and they're not. And that's because, there's a difference between our normals being in range and our hormones being optimized. So that's the whole point of hormone therapy, is to optimize your hormones so that they are not just borderline, so that they are actually at a level where you feel amazing, you can go harder, you have a lot of energy and things like that. So yeah, hormone therapy is just really life-changing for me and also for the patients that I care for. And it took too, in that we were talking earlier about the making the pivot. So this is even for those nurses who are at bedside. It's so scary. So it felt stuck again a couple months, just like, but people know me for aesthetics and how am I going to make this shift? But I really feel like this is my passion. So I'm so excited about that. And that's what drove. I'm just like, I have to do it. Like, it's my practice for one, right? I built this. So I can change it to whatever. And the same what the aesthetics want this, though, was an easy crossover. But yeah, I just love it. I'm just so
and you make a great point, because my business started off as IV hydration, right? And that was just the segue into weight loss. That was the segue into post-op concierge. And to your point, when you talk about hormone replacement therapy, one of my nurse practitioners, she's saying like, we need to start offering hormone replacement therapy. And I'm like, you're right. I was like, we really should. And because of the weight loss program, one of the things that we check is the hormones. Like, not with everyone, but sometimes we do check the hormonal labs as well. So, and to your point, sometimes when it's just it could be just that, like your hormones are what's keeping you from losing the weight, which is why the conversation became, we should start offering hormone replacement therapy as well. And she's actually going through different trainings for the hormone replacement therapy. But I actually agree. And I can remember being a nurse right during COVID. Mm-hmm. And I can remember like having on the mask and, the whole PPE, the mask, the gown, eyewear. And I remember, I'll never forget, I was like super, like, it was just like overwhelmingly hot with all of the gear. Mm-hmm. And I was telling one of the nurses, like I was talking, I had to pull my mask down and I'm like sweating. And I'm just like, oh my God, are you this hot in all this gear? And she was like, no, are you okay? And I was just like, oh no, I'm just so hot. And I was like, it can't be that time of year. And then they started, and now these ladies are like in their late 40s, early 50s at the time. And they were just like, oh yeah, you could definitely be going through it. And I was like, really? And I was like, and it would just like come and it would just be like a wave of hotness. Like, I don't even, and then it persisted, right? So it would persist to like the night sweats. Yeah. And I'm a nurse, so like TB, like when I exposed, like having these night sweats like this. And it was my, it was my hormones. And to your point, the docs don't really, and I love my doctor. I really, really, truly do. But to your point, I started noticing that there wasn't really a lot of, I don't want to say I can see the gaps where nurses, clients or patients are not really being pointed in the right direction to be able to really treat their hormones. So there's so much unknown. And even when, we go to different wellness affairs, I hear, people come up to the table and they'll start talking about hormone replacement therapy. And me and one lady, we got into a conversation and she's telling me all these personal things about, her sex life and her sex drive because of, the hormones. And, she was like, you should really offer that. I wish you did. And I said, coming soon. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, because there's a market for it, and people are becoming more aware that they need this. Or I guess some people are, but there's still a market of people who don't. And they don't.
So many who don't know about it, and they're like, really? God, you said so many good things in that. Yeah, one first thing was IV hydration, and we teach in our class that IV hydration is just the starting point, right? The whole point is to get you to build a medical practice, and even something as simple as IV hydration yields you a medical practice. From there, you can add whatever services that you want onto there, which, as you said, hormone replacement is great. We all know weight loss is killing the game right now. So I tell people, I just did a training for weight loss, just to get started, because I'm like, you guys, especially if you're just doing IV hydration, it's great, but you need something else. So weight loss is a great thing if that's, someone's interest, but pairing it with the hormones, like you said, it always goes there. And being that I now work at the hospital, so that allows me to see, here is my own clinic. So I see my few people that I want, and then I'm out the door. But there, I'm guaranteed at least 15 to 18 weight loss patients a day. And the conversation always, especially if they're in their age range, always goes to hormones. Like, I don't know, night sweats, I don't know what it is. And I'm always like, how are hormones doing? And they're like, yeah, I think it's that. I think it's that, and I educate them a little. This is what you can ask your doctor. They're probably going to tell you it's nothing, but if it gets bad enough, you may need to seek outside help. So that's what I tell them. But there are definitely two services that go hand in hand, and are helping change lives. That's the main thing. So a lot of big things.
I love it. So in the field, of like wellness and aesthetic medicine and just staying updated, because I heard you mention about getting training, and you follow this particular nurse to hear the seminars. And just so, like, when you talk about staying to hit the seminars on hormone replacement therapy is what I mean. And that's part of staying updated, right? With like the latest research and trends, and because it's crucial, right? How do you ensure that your wellness business remains at the forefront of these advancements?
Yeah, that's a great question. Constantly lifelong learner. So I tell nurses, same with our CMEs or our continued CEUs, we have to continue our education. So, but now it gets fun because you can do education in things that you want or that you like, you're interested. So always taking someone's course, always reading the latest thing. I have my Google alert set to anything that pops up related to hormone therapy. So I read those articles, and just always, following the people who are so further advanced than I am in hormone therapy, just following them. I pretty much do not listen to music. I'm always driving or listening to some sort of new podcast or new something on, these hormones or something else, just so I can constantly learn. So you almost, especially in business, because it is your own and there's no one there to teach you, right? There's no one there to train you. You have to become obsessed with it. So that is what I do. I just constantly try to find new advancements, new techniques. And then the company that I'm paired with, I did my training through BioT. They constantly have, education portals. I'm in another Facebook group where I learned the other modalities of hormone therapy, which are, like I said, the creams, pills, patches, FDA approved hormones that we can prescribe through insurance. And I learned that through another course. So, there's a group there and we meet monthly. So I think the people who are in this field are so passionate about it that they teach so much. So there's endless opportunities to advance your knowledge in this field.
I love it. So so as a nurse CEO and founder, what advice would you give to other nurses who are looking to transition from traditional clinical roles to entrepreneurship?
Great question. So I always say there are a few things you have to do. So one, sit down and first list down all the things that you're great at, all the things that you are passionate about, all the things that you can talk about without stopping, right? Without looking at a book. And I think nurses and people in general just don't understand how much knowledge they have and how we're all so different, and we can all learn from each other, So my nail lady who's right down the street, she has 4 kids, her own business, wakes up at 5 o'clock to go to the gym, meal preps, cooks these full course meals for a family. I'm like, how do you do that? You need an ebook on how to do that. I tell my other friends with 4 kids, stay at home mom, you need an ebook. Like, just write something. There's someone out there. I want to know how I can have this schedule to work. She's like, girl, you got to get up. Get them kids. They got to get up. And I'm like, they're sleepy and I don't want to wait. No, you have stuff to do. Your mom, you need your self-care. You need to be in the gym. I'm like, that needs to be in the ebook and to sell it, So people just underestimate, especially nurses, how much knowledge you have. We had one guest on our podcast who she had an amazing, what is it called? Wow, I'm acting like I forgot. I'm so far removed from bedside. Report sheet. She had an excellent report sheet. She sold over, I think, 100,000 of those. But wow, you put that up for sale, and so whatever you are passionate about, just start thinking about those things that you like to do and that you're passionate about, and then start thinking. This is another thing about how you want your life or how you want your life to look. Right. So in going to nurse practitioner school, I was immediately like, oh no, I don't want to trade bedside for this. Like, this is still just as busy. So I want to have a place where I can come in my practice, work 2 to 3 days, and I'm done. So then you build your life around that, right? So think about how you want your life to live, how you want it to go as far as scheduling, think about things you're great at, and then start looking at people who are maybe doing those things. And just so you can get the confidence and see that there are other people who are getting paid for these things. That was one of the other eye openers is when I'm in these masterminds and groups, and I'm seeing these people who have no education, okay, and created something, and they're millionaires off of that. Like
that right there.
Right? So many people who do it and they're so good at it and they're making so much money. So for a nurse, it's like, stop, get out of our heads and just think outside the box of things that we can do. So I would definitely say those things, so write it down and then start looking at your circumstances. So we have a lot of nurses, again, who come take our class and they want to start this IV hydration business, but they're working 6-7 nights a week. They're working 6 days a week. How are you going to have time to do other things? They're doing that because they need the money. So I always say, look at your finances, see how you can start paying things off. If it's your, even investing, right? Not starting a business, but even if you want to start investing your money, start paying things off, start really getting clear about your finances and start living below your means so that you have money to do other things, especially if you want to get out of the situation with feeling stuck bedside. So start looking into ways you can invest your money, start looking into ways you can pay off debt, live below your means for a little while so that you can set yourself up for the future. So I think those are some of the tips I would do when looking outside of bedside. And don't be afraid to take the leap. Outside of your comfort zone is where life really begins. So comfortable with getting outside of your comfort zone. So if that's even, I'm going to talk to somebody today. I remember I used to go, because I'm more of an introvert. I'm an extrovert until I know you. Then I start blabbing.
Yeah.
I'm watching. But just telling myself, like, meet somebody, go introduce yourself, just telling yourself that. Because if we're going off of our own way of how we're used to doing things, we're never going to get out of our comfort zone. You have to think. And so many opportunities have come by me just having I always say, the audacity to step out on faith and start my own thing. So many opportunities that I had no idea I would end up doing weight loss and hormone therapy. So, but you just have to start. So I would say get the life in order so that it'll make it easier when you do decide to either invest or start your own business.
Absolutely. And great advice. Great advice. And like you said, a friend of mine and I, we always say, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like that is definitely entrepreneurship, whether it's nurse entrepreneurship, business entrepreneurship. Yeah. Like that is definitely, I love it. What future plans or new treatments do you envision for your wellness business?
So right now I am finally at the point where I'm looking to scale and looking to maybe hire some more people to come in so I can get the free, get some of my freedom back. So mainly looking to do that. I think with services, I have just kind of scaled down. So I'm not looking to add many more right now. I'm just thinking of how I can take what I offer now and package it up to what people need. So that's kind of my thing now, getting the hormone and weight loss kind of packaged together and just things that women need. The next big thing that I'm doing is more so I'm trying to build a community around this hormone therapy. So I am going to do like a webinar, something online where I can just teach women about hormones, what they do, the symptoms, and that symptom relief, that there are options, and just kind of start educating and getting out into my community. That's what I really want to do, and just start educating as many women as I can and try to have this movement and this following in this community. So that's my next big step, is building the community around the hormone therapy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on today. So you've given such great inspiration and information. So I love it. Thank you so much. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. Until next time, make sure you guys stay empowered, stay educated, and stay inspired. And we'll see you in the next episode.